Hello students, today we are going to see the last topic in first unit called as method overloading and then method overriding. So before that, I would like to summarize the concept that we have discussed in unit 1 like object-oriented concepts, naming convention, objects and class, methods, constructors and so on. So we have to discuss these things and we are going to the next topic. The first one we have discussed is object-oriented concepts. So object-oriented concept in the sense we have discussed like what are the programming languages that were used before C and then C++. So it like Pascal, Fortran, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of those languages we have discussed, and we have come across the eras of software, and during each era there was both advantages and disadvantages, and we have discussed about those things. So after that we have comes into the OOPS concept. Why we need a OOPS concept? So whenever the programmer codes more than 1 lakh lines, they have faced complexity in reading and maintaining the code. So in order to segregate those into simpler object and modules, we need a programming language. So on that era, they have developed a thing called as OAC, that is the previous version of Java. After that, they have Java was developed in 1995. So these are all some basic things we have discussed in object-oriented concepts. So after that, naming convention. So the basic thing for any programming language is to declaration of identifiers. So identifiers in the sense names which were given by the user to the variables, objects, methods, class, likewise. So what are the things that we have covered under naming convention is the main thing which we have seen is camel cases, mixed cases, upper cases and lower cases. So for each and everything, what are the case that we have to use? For example, if we are declaring a class, the class should be in a camel case format. And likewise, if you are declaring a method or a variable, it should be in a mixed case format. And if you are declaring a constant variable, we have to use uppercase format. And for packages, we have to use lowercase format. So these are all the things that we have covered under naming convention. So on next one, the basic OOPS concept like objects and class. So each and every real world entity can be created as a programming thing with the help of objects. So each working component in a program is going to be considered as an object, and a class is nothing but a group of objects which we have similar properties and then behaviors. So those things are wrapped up into a single thing called as a class, and then methods. So in order to develop the modularity of the program, we are going to separate each thing within a functionality unit, working functionality unit, and those things are called as method in Java. So constructors. So what is my constructor? So whenever the user needs particular action to be initiated automatically, which he used in the later version of the program, those type of initiation has to be done in a constructor. And the next thing that we have discussed is use of super, final and static keyword. So we have discussed what is the use of super, final and static keyword. So we are going to see one by one. If a thing is declared as super, that means if we are having inheritance concept and there may be more than one classes, if you and those classes are having some methods which have same name, that means where we have parent class, children class and sub-children classes. So each and every class has its own methods and declaration. In case if a class has more than one method declared in the same name, then the child class has to refer the super class as this parents methods or parents variable. And super variable is applicable for variables, methods, like so on. And final. So whenever we need to declare some value to be a constant value, we are going to use a keyword called as final. And then static. If we declare an object, that means a method or a variable data member of a class as a static, without creating an object for that particular data member, we can access it. And then this keyword. So whenever we are having parameters constructors and also instant variables, if the name of the parameter constructor and the instant variable are same, then this keyword is used to segregate or mention the difference between the parameters constructor, sorry, parameters variables and the instant variables. Next one, inheritance. So this is where the concept of child class and parent class we are going to implement. That means yes, parent class can have a number of child classes, and the child classes can inherit all the properties. That means the data members of a class can be utilized in the child class also. And we have discussed what are all the different types of inheritance, like single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and then hybrid inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. In Java, we don't have two things. One is multiple and then hierarchy, hybrid inheritance concept we don't have in Java. And the next one is called as polymorphism. So polymorphism in the sense wrapping up of many things together, and it's going to work differently according to the working environment or a scenario. So that is called as polymorphism. Many things, many forms here. Each and everything have many forms, and depending upon the scenario, it's going to perform its own action. And then, we have seen what are the different types of polymorphism. We have uh, runtime polymorphism, compile time polymorphism. For example, method overloading is compile time polymorphism, and method overriding is a runtime polymorphism. Next one, abstraction. So abstraction in the sense, in order to maintain the security of the program, we are going to have data hiding. We are going to implement data hiding. So data hiding in the sense declaring the variables, that means instant variable as a private one, which means without any use of getter or setter method, the outside the class cannot access the particular value inside a class. So we are going to give it as private keyword. So that's we have seen that with the simple examples. After that of encapsulation. So encapsulation, our class is Java. Each and every Java class is a perfect example of encapsulation because it is encapsulated with instant variables, methods, constructors, and then nested constructors, nested methods, and then interfaces. So these are all the basic things that we have discussed so far. Right now, we are going to see the next topic called as method overloading and then method overriding. So first we would like to discuss what is meant by method overloading. So method overloading in the sense, while doing or creating functions, we can give same name for a number of methods. And how we are going to differentiate it, because without differentiating, our compiler cannot understand which one I have to compile, and each and everything has a same name. So we have two different ways to do this method overloading. So let us see what is the definition of the method overloading first. If we can declare two methods with the same name and the same different parameter list, then we are going to call it as a overloaded method. Or else, if a class has multiple methods having same name but different in parameters, it is also known as method overloading. So it is going to increase the readability of the program. It helps the modularity of the program. So it is easy to maintainable also. It is also called as compile time polymorphism that we have discussed in polymorphism also. So how to do this method overloading? With the help of two ways. One is by changing the number of arguments that we are going to list in the parameter list. Otherwise, by changing the data type resides inside a parameter list. So these are the two different ways that we can do this method overloading. So the concept is, with the help of these two ways, I can create a method with the same name, n number of methods with the same name by using these concepts. Let us see it with an example. So example one. So what I'm going to do is, I'm having a class called as adder, and this class is going to return the sum of two numbers. This is the basic simple program that I'm going to do. But I have to create two methods. So static int add of int a comma int b and return a plus b. Same way, I am going to create another method with the same name called as static int add of int a comma b comma c. So here, what is the thing I am using is, I am having the method with same name, but I am going to differentiate for the compiler with the help of different parameter list. That means first method has two parameter values, whereas the second method has three parameter values. Okay, from the main program, that means test overloading one class, I am going to have my main method. From that method, I am going to call it as system.out.println of sum plus adder dot add of 11 comma 11. So in this example, I am declaring the adder dot add. I am calling the function which is resides in the adder class like adder dot add, and I am going to pass two values. Whenever I pass two values, first add method will be called. And whereas if I call the same method name add with three values, the second method is going to be called from the adder class. So this is a simple example for method overloading, and the output for the particular program is first one sum 22, and then for three variables is going to return sum as 33. So this is the simple example for method overloading with the help of changing the number of arguments. I underline this word, students. So I am having method with the same name, and I am going to differentiate this thing with the help of the number of arguments present inside the parameter list. and let us see what is it, how to do it in the second way. That means instead of going or changing the number of arguments, I am going to change the return type, data type of the particular argument. So data type in the sense each and every variable has its own data type. No, so here the same problem. I am having two classes. First class is adder, second class is test overload adding one, and then same as first previous example, I am going to have two methods with the same name. Here first method is add method with two variables, and second method is also add method with two variables. We have to note that here in the previous example, first method has two variables and the second method has three variables. That means we have differentiated a method with the help of argument, but here we are going to differentiate with the help of the data type for the particular variable. So first method has two int variables, whereas in second method we have two double variables. So from the calling method, I am going to call adder.add of 11, 11, and second method with adder.add of 11.1, 11.2. So for this program, the output will be sum equal to 22, and for the second method, sum equal to 22.3. So from these two examples, we can understood that we can do method overloading by simply changing the data type and also by differentiate the number of parameters available in the method. So this is the two different ways we can use. So next one, method overloading is not possible only by changing the return type. For example, consider this example. So we have two methods and with the same name, add, add, and the parameter list also same. It has two variables, int a, int b, and second method is also going to have two variables, int a, int b. So in this example, there is no different things in parameter list, and also the data types of the variables are also same. The methods are differentiated only with the help of the return type of the particular method. For example, in this first method is going to return an integer value, whereas the second method is going to return a double value. In the main program, I am going to call sum equal to adder.add of 11, 11. So it's applicable for both the method, whereas the return type was different, but it's also applicable for both the methods. In this scenario, the compiler cannot find for which method I have to pass this value. So at that time, we may get an error called as compile time error. Method add int of int is already defined in a class adder. So we cannot do like this. So we have to consider this thing. Method overloading is possible only by differentiating the parameter list or by differentiating the data type inside a parameter list. It cannot be possible by only or simply changing the return type of the method. So this is the thing that we have to understood very well. So this is about method overloading. Next we are going to see what is meant by method overriding. So method overriding especially comes whenever we are using inheritance. So whenever we are doing an inheritance, that means child class and parent class can have both, can have a same method name, and also it may have the same number of parameter also. So at that time only we are going to do method overloading. So for example, if a subclass has the same method declared as in the parent class, it is known as method overriding in Java. So method overriding is used to provide a specific implementation of methods which is already provided by its superclass. It is also called as runtime polymorphism. And what are the simple rules we are going to follow for doing this method overriding? There are three rules that we are supposed to follow, or it must exist for doing the method overriding concept. The first one is the methods must have same name as in the parent class. That means subclass methods must have same name as in the parent class. And the second point, the methods must have same parameters as in the parent class. That means here both the methods in parent class and child class is going to have same name and also same parameter list. There is no differentiating like method loading here. And there must be a issue relationship, inheritance. That means definitely the both class A and B or class parent and class child has to be in a relationship. That means is a relationship, which is nothing but our inheritance concept. So these are all some simple rules that we have to follow. Let us see it with an example. First one, this is a Java program for vehicle running system. For example, consider it as a vehicle system Java program to demonstrate method overloading. Here we are going to do calling the method of a parent class with a child class object. So in this example, we are having a parent class called as vehicle, and that parent class is having a particular method called as ren, and the return type of the method is void. Whenever this function rents, that means whenever the ren method is called, it's going to give the output as vehicle is running. Okay, now I'm creating the second class called as bike extends vehicle. We all know for inheritance we have to use the keyword called as extends. That means in this example the bikes class is the child class which extends the parent class called as vehicle. And then in the same bike class I am having my main method, and I am going to create an object for this child class bike object equal to new bike, and I am going to call the parent class method with the help of object of the child class. So object dot red. So in this scenario the output is, what output we are going to get? We are going to get as vehicle is running. So sorry students, in the particular video the output is wrong. The output we are going to get is vehicle is running. But consider a scenario where we have same method in bike class also. For example, in the same example, if we have another method which resides in bike class with the same name called as ren. So what will whenever the object.ren method called, which ren method will run? So take out the second example. This is the scenario where we need method overriding actually. So in this example, we have a class called as vehicle, and that class has return type void ren method which returns vehicle is running, and the second class is bike 2 and extends the vehicle class. So in this bike class also we are having ren method as like a parent class. So this is where the method overriding concept accepts running. So in the second class ren method is going to display the output as bike is running. So within the main method I am going to create an object for bike 2 class, and I am going to call obj.run method. So which run method will run right now? So parent class, instead of parent class, here the bike to run method is going to run. That means for this output, for this example, we are going to get the output as bike is running. Students, I made a mistake. In the first example, the output is vehicle is running. For the second example, the output is bike is running. So these two examples perfectly tells us according to the object created and the method called, the particular objects method is going to run. If I want to run the what is parent class run method, I have to create an object for parent class and I have to render it. Otherwise I can use super super keyword. We have already discussed how to super keyword is used to run the immediate instant variable or a method of a parent class. So in the example 2 we have two options to run the parent class by run method by the help of creating an object for the vehicle class and calling the method with the reference object. Otherwise we can use the keyword called as super keyword to run the parent class run method. So this is about method overriding. I hope you people understood that. So right now I am going to give an assignment or a case study. So consider we are having a banking system, and under the banking system we are going to have three different banks connected with this. So for the example I have taken SBI, ICICI and Axis Bank, and each bank has its own rate of interest, okay, own percentage of rate of interest. For the example I have given what else, SBI is going to have 8% of interest, and ICICI is going to have 7% of interest, and Axis Bank is going to have 9% of interest. So each and every bank is going to have a method called as rate of interest, and whenever the particular object is created for a particular class, it has to return its. For example, if I create an object for SBI Bank, it has to return the value with the interest rate of 8%. Whereas whenever you call the method resides inside ICICI Bank, it's going to reply with the interest rate of 7%. Likewise, if I call the method resides inside Axis Bank, it's going to return the value with the 9% of rate of interest. So the total amount is going to be, interest rate is going to be different for different banks. So this is, in this scenario I want you people to consider the scenario and create a program and submit it to me as assignment on next class. Thank you students.